Hello, my friends. Welcome. I'm Alexandra Harbushka. Put my AirPods in so it sounds better. I'm Alexandra Harbushka, founder of Life with Herpes, hey Izzy, founder of Secret Society Wellness, all sorts of goodies. If you're watching the replay, welcome. If you are new to all this, hey Autumn, hey Daisy. I haven't seen you in a while, Daisy. Local barber, Christy, Pam. Hi, all my friends. Hey, girl. Anyways, I go live. I try to go live daily, and it's my opportunity to ask your questions that you have for me via Instagram. Also, feel free to go live with me. If you want to ask me a question live, I am here and I will answer and I will accept. So feel free to go live with me. That also can be fun. I love all the little hearts. It's almost Valentine's Day. Okay, I'll go ahead and get started. You can also feel free to ask your questions here in the chat. You said you're a hairstylist and your county reopened. Yay, Daisy. That's awesome. Back to work. Congrats on being able to go back to work. Hey, Mary, I haven't seen you in a while. Walters. Hey, Shoe Model Agency. Hey, Bree. Oh my gosh, I still want to see wedding photos. I was just thinking of you yesterday. Hey, Walters. Hey, Mrs. Nancy. Elise. Okay, I'll go ahead and start asking the questions. Or answering the questions. This is a good one. Okay, is BV herpes? So BV is bacterial vaginitis or vaginosis. I don't even know how you pronounce it. No, so that's a bacterial infection, and herpes is a viral infection. So you can't get a virus from a bacteria, and you can't get bacteria from a virus. Like, they don't interchange. However, a lot of times they do go hand in hand because your immune system is worn down and your immune system is kind of fighting a lot. So a lot of times you can have it multiple times. Like, I know I had BV all the time and yeast infections all the time when I was being diagnosed with herpes. That's one of the reasons why I feel like I got herpes, is because I was on antibiotics for BV and I was on antifungal for yeast infections. And so I just feel like my whole body was just, my immune system was compromised. And so that's, I just think it couldn't fight it. But is it herpes? No, it's not. For those of you that are wondering what BV is, it's when a woman's vagina smells like tuna fish. It's just what it is. It's just an overgrowth of bacteria. All right. What did my parents say when I told them? When I was first diagnosed, I was really scared to tell them, but at the same time I was older. I was like 27, 28 years old, so it was very different than being like younger and a teenager. Yet, I still, at that age, you're still seeking their approval and things like that. So I was really scared to tell them. There really wasn't much they could say. What do you say? I just know that they were concerned and sad, potentially angry. I don't know if they were angry at me or angry at the partner, but they had a hard time with it. They had a hard time with it. It wasn't something they shoved off. They had a hard time with it. Yeah, good question. I have had a handful of cold sores on the lip since a child, but it's never showed in blood. That's interesting. So the best test that you can do is called a Western blot test. It's from the University of Washington. You have to get the test from them. They ship it to you. You have to have your blood drawn from a blood center, and then you send it back to them. It is more expensive. Your insurance doesn't typically cover it. It's just a bigger deal. That's the most accurate test that you can get. I have talked to people who, same thing, like they've never tested positive yet. They keep getting swabs. Like if they have a swab, they'll test positive, but they'll still test negative for a blood test. So it's super weird. And this one person in particular I'm thinking of, she's like, I just want to know so that I can tell a partner. She's like, when I don't know, it's just driving me in limbo. I feel like I have to tell, but if my tests are coming back negative, then technically I'm negative for herpes. And she was just like on this roller coaster of emotions, trying to do the ethical and right thing. So she went with the Western blot test. So I would say that. The other thing that could be happening is When our antibodies are high, it means that we were either just diagnosed with it or we just had an outbreak. So it could be possibly it's so dormant in your system, you may not be getting outbreaks, which is awesome if you're not getting outbreaks. So I met this man who is HSV negative, but we've been talking for a while. Okay, I told him and he's still wanting to date. Now my question is, if I take Valtrex and he uses a condom, would we be safe? Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations on disclosing. It's a big deal. It is scary when you like the person and like, it's just like that exciting part. It's like asking the person, like, do you like me, or will you sit next to me? It's like that exciting, So congratulations on that. So taking the antiviral lowers the transmission rate by 48%, and using a condom protects you between 30 and 50% of the time. So the reason why there's such a big discrepancy in a condom is the condom doesn't cover the entire anatomy, right? So there's many body parts that are exposed during sex, even if you are using a condom. So it's one of the biggest myths or something that's false when we think of like, oh, just throw on a condom and you'll be fine. So you're only protecting the area of the penis, right? So like there's a lot of other areas that come into contact. So one thing I'd say is, where do you have your outbreaks? That's one thing to look at. And if the condom is covering or protecting that area, that's a great thing. The other thing I would also say that if you're not using a condom, you're not taking an antiviral, and you're a woman with herpes and do not have an outbreak, you have a 4% chance of transferring it to a partner. So you have a 4% chance not using any form of protection, and not having an outbreak. So less than that 4% by, taking the antiviral as well as using that condom. So basically, to answer your question is, yeah, you're doing everything you possibly can do. Can you still transfer it to your partner? Yeah, but you're doing everything you possibly can do. Can you do a YouTube for your recipes? Absolutely. I've been asked to do cookbooks, all that fun stuff. I feel like my cooking is like pretty simple and pretty like, I don't know. I just feel like it's like pretty simple with a few ingredients, but absolutely. Let's see. What did I make? Oh, that reminds me. I have to get it out of the fridge. I made this beautiful bone broth from prime rib bones. I have to get it out to freeze it. Thank you for reminding me, Jennifer. Okay. What is it like growing Clinton? What is it like? What is that little gown Clinton wears every morning? Oh, just curious. Oh, so so babies aren't supposed to use a blanket until they're 1, even older, because of potential suffocation. So now it's a wearable blanket. So basically it's just like it's a wearable blanket so that it keeps him nice and warm while he's sleeping. So he has his little onesie on for sleeping, and then he has a little wearable blanket. Yeah, I know it looks super comfy. I kind of want one to like watch movies in or something. Thanks for asking. What's the best thing about being a mom? My best friend and I were on the phone this morning talking about how you will never do anything harder in your entire life than being a mom or a parent, but nothing is more rewarding, and just the absolute love and joy and that you have when like just the hugs, the cuddles, the kisses, there's just nothing like it. I just the pride you have and just the love that you like, there's new love. I can't describe it. I loved life but I love life. Like I have so much to live for. Perfect example is I just recently started taking up skiing again. And had I not been a mom, there's no way I would have worn a helmet, because I'd be like, I just don't want to wear a helmet. But now I have so much to live for that I'm like, absolutely, I'll wear a helmet. Like no questions asked, I'm wearing a helmet. So that's just the difference to show you as an example. Like I won't mess around with it. I'm a slower driver now too. Like everyone's driving too fast. Okay, I'll get off my mom rant. How did you manage with the lockdown? Well, it came right as I was a new mom. So there was just at first, it wasn't so much that I was scared. I mean, the whole world was scared of the virus. But it was more of like I didn't have support. So my husband and I were home with a new baby. And, during that time, normally there's support, like a mom will come, like the grandma will show up or things like that. And we just couldn't have any help. So like laundry built up and dishes, and you have a newborn and you're exhausted and you're trying to catch up and you got to clean your house and clean the dishes and keep on track. That was my hardest part, just adjusting to being a new mom and not having any outside support that I could lean on. What about you guys? How was it during lockdown? Hey, you've helped me so much. Can you give me some tips for your first year of dealing with outbreaks? Okay. So Tula, I would say there are studies saying that if you take the antiviral in the first year, you'll have less outbreaks. There are also studies saying that if you don't take the antiviral, then you have a stronger immune system. Like your body builds up your body's like robust when it comes to fighting herpes outbreaks. So I don't know the correct answer to that. I would say the number one thing that you can do is find a group of people that you can talk to this about. So whether it's you're angry at your partner, whether you yourself are feeling like alone on an island and like no one understands you, or you're like, okay, how do I break out of this Eeyore phase that I call it and move on with my life? You still have so many questions about it, and every step of the way, I would say find a community of people to talk about it, number one. Number two, I would educate yourself as much as possible on the virus. So know what you can and cannot, like how you can transfer it and how you cannot transfer it. Know what causes an outbreak for you and what doesn't. Whether you need to keep a journal of like, I ate this food today and 3 days later I got an outbreak. Find out what triggers there are for you. And it may be something completely different than what most people have. It may be like, if I eat chocolate, I get an outbreak, but I can eat gummy worms and not get an outbreak. I don't know. You know what I mean? So I would say find a community, educate yourself on this virus, and figure out what causes your outbreaks. Yeah. And of course, I think secret society community is the best, but there's a lot of other communities out there. And of course, find one that works best for you and who you are. Sex and herpes. I take valacyclovir every day. So sex and herpes. I don't know what the question is. So if you take the antiviral daily, you're definitely lessening the chance of transmitting it to a partner, which is awesome. You're doing the best thing you can do to prevent transmission to him or her. And I think that's great. Autumn, you don't have outbreaks anymore? That's awesome. Awesome blossom. Yeah, I don't get oral outbreaks often, but I definitely get genital outbreaks if I am stressed, not sleeping, and not eating healthy. Doesn't mean that I cannot have fun. Like I can totally go out and eat like a chocolate cake and like drink a bottle of wine. I just can't do it every night. Make sense? When you're first diagnosed with herpes, having blisters but no blisters could be herpes, right? Wait. My reading is off. When you were first diagnosed with herpes, having fevers but no blisters could be herpes, right? Yeah, so like fever, swollen lymph nodes, swollen glands are all itchy, tingly. They're all signs of herpes. Outbreaks are all signs that coincide with being infected with the virus. So potentially, and most people don't get outbreaks. We're just the lucky ones that get them, I like to say. But most people don't get them, so most people don't associate like, oh, I had a fever day and my lymph nodes were swollen. That's weird. I had no idea why. They would never associate it with herpes. All right. Any tips for dealing with herpes during the first year of being diagnosed? I think I just answered that question for you, Tula. Do supplements interfere with IgG? No, so the antiviral might. I have talked to people that are like, I was on the antiviral and I tested negative, and then I got off the antiviral and tested positive, knowing that they had herpes. So like they already knew they were positive. So that sometimes can play a role. But the supplements shouldn't really impact. Supplements are just vitamins, minerals, other nutrients. I do have someone in the secret society who was being extremely diligent with her supplements and vitamins, and she actually did test negative. because it just lowered the virus in her system so much. However, it's still there. The way that technology works today that we know about viruses is we cannot remove them from our bodies. Once they enter, we have them for life. So it's still there. If I don't have any sores and a negative test after 2 weeks of exposure, am I clear? I wish. So the thing is once you are coming, so the typical incubation period is 2 days to 14 days. So within 2 weeks of coming into initial contact with the virus, it is about 2 weeks before. Within those 2 weeks is the normal time that people will be diagnosed. However, it can take months, years, weeks. You just don't know. I've talked to many people that are in marriages and they are both monogamous, and like years later, and like herpes will show up and they're like, I have no idea how this happened. I've talked to people also that are celibate and they're like, I've been celibate for 5 years and I just got herpes. What in the world? So not to scare you, but here's what I would do. I would incorporate getting tested part of your sexual health. And I would say that if the person, like just having sex with somebody that has herpes doesn't mean you have it. My husband and I have been together for 6 years and he doesn't have it. He comes in contact with it daily, right? Comes in contact with me daily, which I could potentially transmit it to him when I'm shedding. So just because you've come into contact with someone doesn't mean you have it. You would really need to have an open sore, like a blister, or again, they could be viral shedding. So for you, I would say go back and get tested in 6 months and see what happens and just keep getting tested. That goes for all of us. Oops, I keep moving my mouse thinking it's managing my phone. Wait, I just did it again with my other mouse. Apparently it's that time of day for me. I didn't know if they had herpes in Just Concerned. Okay. Yeah, I would say ask them. I know that's like an uncomfortable thing, but I know what you mean. It's like, oh, okay, I got past the 2 weeks, I'm in the clear. It's like living out, like it's like roulette. I would just say having that initial conversation with the partner, like, hey, this is what we're going to do. You go get tested. I'm going to go get tested and we're going to show up and have fun. It takes the like sexiness out of it, but it's the best way to know. I'm sorry, I might have missed your question when I got the call. Can vitamins interfere with IgD blood? I already answered that, local barber, so you can go back and watch the replay. A really quick answer is they should not interfere. That your levels can go up and down, but it really shouldn't interfere. Okay, at least to answer that again, local barber, I haven't seen them interfere. We did have a person in the group that was amped up on supplements and she actually did test negative, but I think she's like an anomaly. So with having herpes, could you easily get HIVs or anything you can do? Okay, so here's the thing on that. If you read the CDC and I think Planned Parenthood, and I think if you go to those sites, they say people with herpes are more likely to get HIV. So here's why they say it, and here's why it really upsets me. The reason that does make sense to me and that is accurate is HIV is spread through like open wounds. It's also spread through vaginal fluid, semen, blood, and so it's mostly through blood and spread through that way. If you have an open sore like herpes, which is an open sore, then if someone with HIV, you're giving them an open door. Like you're giving the HIV virus an open door to like show up, swim in there and do what they want to do, right? To infect you. So you just have an open sore, right? Like just if you have a cut, you're likely, you can easily get an infection in your leg. If you have a cut on your leg, you could get an infection. If I don't have a cut on my leg, chances of my leg getting infected is really small, right? So, so that makes sense. The reason that I don't like, they said that people with herpes are more likely to get HIV is because they add it to a lifestyle choice. So obviously, as we know, it could be evaluated on a numbers game. The more people you sleep with, the more people you come in contact with, the more people you come in contact with, the more likely you are to come in contact with a potential new virus or bacterial infection. So they have this whole algorithm that's like the more people you sleep with, the more likely you are to get an STD. does make sense. Absolutely. It is a numbers game on some point. Yet there are many of us that have had one partner, two partners, maybe never even had sex, and we end up with an STD. So I don't like the answer when they talk about you're more likely due to promiscuity, basically is what they're saying, a promiscuous lifestyle. That one pisses me off. It's a very long answer for you on that one. So many good questions. So many questions. Is the fishy smell associated with herpes? So I answered this initially about BV, bacterial vaginosis. It's not herpes, but it's a bacterial infection that you can get because your immune system's run down, but you don't get it from herpes. So it's not like a trickle of, it's not like a if you get this, then it'll go into that. It is your body's probably worn down, and so you have an overload of bacterial overload in your system. So what happens with women who are asymptomatic and give birth not knowing they have herpes? This probably happens all the time. Hopefully our OBs are testing us before we have babies, before delivery. So if they are shedding, then you could potentially pass it to the baby. If you're not shedding, the baby's completely fine and not coming in contact with it. You just hope that the mother is tested. I mean, it happens all the time. We've had herpes for centuries, and so there's been many babies born to asymptomatic moms. You know what I mean? There's been many babies born to symptomatic moms like myself, you know? I went to move my mouse again. Okay, I'm going to look at one more question. Well, I'll do two. My favorite books. I don't have a favorite one off the top of my head. Oh, Educated is my favorite book that I've read recently. And right now I'm reading The Nightingale. It's about World War II. It's about like a woman who becomes a spy for the Nazis. Not for the Nazis, against the Nazis. And it's like truly an amazing book. Is a Western blot test very reliable after 6 months? And if it is, can I move on after 6 months? I would say yes, but also ask the doctors there because they're going to be the best people. I work beside a labor and delivery unit and ask if moms get tested for herpes, and they don't. Really, that's unfortunate. They should. They absolutely should. I think a lot of times too, it's the doctor's protocol and having that conversation. A doctor should ask that question. Does herpes kill your immune system? Have you heard of white tongue with herpes? So white tongue is when you get like buildup of candida. It's totally different. Herpes is a virus. Candida is buildup of yeast and candida, basically, bacteria. Does it kill your immune system? I would definitely say it causes a disruption in your immune system. I would say it definitely causes you to take better care of yourself. I wouldn't say it kills it. I would say it's important for you to now build it back up again. Potentially your immune system was low and that's why you got it. You know, there was other things happening in your life and that's potentially why you got it, right? All right, my friends, I will see you all tomorrow. Hope you have an awesome day. I actually put makeup on today. I recorded some videos, so that's why. And I just want you all to know I really appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for being you. Of course, if you have questions, you can DM me. You can also, I would love to see you in the Secret Society. I think it's the best place for people that are diagnosed with herpes. By the way, I'm obsessed with our Secret Society lip balm. That was not like a product placement. I just needed it and I'm obsessed with it. But yeah, I would say absolutely join there if you are newly diagnosed or you know, would like some support and hand holding and things like that. All right, I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye, guys.